Welcome. So today we're going to be looking at 3.3. We can do any homework problems you want, tackle any of that stuff. How did the EMPT test go yesterday? You don't have to feel like it went super well because honestly it's a tough test. So just realize that. A couple things about your tests. You guys did a really nice job. I'm not handing them back today. I actually graded them all, but I'm not handing them back today because I'm missing a number of them. I'm missing like 10, which is a little too many. So please, well actually tomorrow you're going to take it in class because we don't have anything else going on. We don't have anything scheduled because we have the homecoming assembly. So tomorrow if you're missing the test, you're taking the test, okay? So just be prepared for that and we should be good. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good. Good plan. Look at that. We're thinking over there. All right. Homework-wise, what questions do we have? Yeah. Three. Okay, so we're converting to standard form. So that means I am going to start by actually writing this as x minus 4 times x minus 4 plus 7. Is that enough to get going? All right.
That's what I missed.
All right. Other questions? Yep. 5. All right. So we got to factor this thing. So this one, we actually start by factoring out our greatest common factor, which is -2. So I'm going to have f of x is equal to -2, and then I'm going to have a big thing in parentheses and put x squared plus 5 plus 5x plus 4. Okay? And then I would factor that inside piece. We can just do that. We're finished this problem off. So I got -2 out there. I'm going to have x and x. What's the numbers that I'm going to have then? 4 and 1. Yep. So plus 4, plus 1. All right. Other questions? Okay. Then you can actually close that homework up and get to the 3.3 lesson for today. And actually for 3.3, we're going to start with the warm-up. So we are going to complete the square. This is what we did on Tuesday. It was those last 3 problems that we did. So that's where we put the box in and we did that stuff. So if you got to flip back in your notes, that is 100% okay. But go ahead and get started on this. And then I'll give you, after those 3 minutes, we'll go through the problem, make sure we're good, and then move on. Okay? So get going on this one, and then we will see where we end up. this was actually on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was. But that was 36. You put it in the overtime. Where do I go?
I did it this morning, so don't worry about it until next week. I have a question. All right. Well, I actually got some answers for all of us because we're in not so great of a place right now. But what I will say is, folks, if you do miss, realize that I'm recording the lesson, and like I told a couple of you, the lesson on Tuesday was mostly review with one thing that was new. This is what was new. You can skip through if you see something and you're like, oh, I know how to do that. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, you need to watch every single moment of the lesson. No, get to where you need and then get it down. So, completing the square, we first start by moving that c, that -8, to the other side. So I have +8 and I have +8. And so I got g of x +8. And if I'm writing this down, a lot of us should be writing this down because we need it. I'm going to put equals x squared minus 12x. And I'm also going to put plus a box. Or, for some of you, if you just put like something a blank you're filling in. It doesn't have to be a box. I just draw a box because it's called complete the square, so we're going to complete the square. What did I use on Tuesday to fill in that box? Yeah. B over 2 squared. And again, that's just a pattern that we looked at when we looked at some factors of some numbers, and this always works out. So I'm looking at B, which is in this case -12. So I'm looking at -12 over 2 squared, which gives me 36. So I add that to both sides to make sure that those two things stay equal. Now, the other thing is, when I'm looking at this and I have to factor it, I don't even have to remember how to factor. I could kind of ignore all of that piece, and I can just go -12 divided by 2, and that gives me -6. So this does factor to x minus 6, but instead I'm just going to write it as x minus 6 squared. That's why we call it completing the square, because we actually complete this, and it turns into a perfect square. Okay? Now, on the left-hand side, I have g of x plus 44 is equal to that. And folks, remind me, what's my last step? Subtract the 44. Thank you. Now, folks, this method does not go away, and so what I need you to realize is it is just manipulating the problem to change it into something we want. And so if our end goal is to find the vertex or to look at this in vertex form, we can now do that. Now, the other benefit here is sometimes if we're solving something like this, it's really hard to deal with an x squared and an x. I have to factor or I have to change forms. Once I get to a problem that's in vertex form, it's actually really easy to solve, and you're going to see that as we continue on. Okay? Did I get to your question in there? All right. Any questions about this? I know some of you were gone on Tuesday, so I'd be happy to take just a minute to talk through any piece of it. Okay? Then we're going to look at each form. and we're going to look at what's the easiest thing that you can find from each form. So it kind of reviews chapter 2. Factored form, what's the easiest thing I get from that? It was the first thing we always found when we looked at factored form. X-intercepts. Vertex form, the easiest thing is, yeah, it's in the name. It's got to be, okay? And standard form, what's the easiest thing? The y-intercept, yeah. So, I'll be honest. Today, all we're doing is we're giving you points, we're giving you pieces of information, and we're telling you write the equation of this quadratic, okay? You've done this with the linear lines forever. We've given you 2 points and you've made a line. We've given you different things and you've made a line. So now we're just doing it with quadratics. Now, we're never going to use standard form. We will not, okay? It's a pain. It's a really big pain. What we will use is the other 2 forms. So we're going to use, what form is this? Factored form. What form is this? Vertex form. We're going to use one of these, okay? So based off the information, we choose to use one of these and then we go from there. Now what I'll say is today is basically plug in, plug in, plug in, plug in. All you do is plug in things that you know, okay? That's it. So if I'm taking a look at the first one, it says letter A, it says minimum point, gives me some numbers. It says y-intercept, gives me some numbers. Did they give me x-intercepts or did they give me a vertex? Vertex. What's the vertex? What point? 6, -75. Yeah. So our vertex is the minimum point. If they give you a vertex, vertex form. If they give you x-intercepts, factored form. So I'm just going to start writing this out. So I'm going to have v of x is equal to, and I'm just completing what is right here. So I'm going to jot that down. So I got a, then I got x minus h squared plus k. So now I'll fill in what I know. This is why I say it's plug in, plug in, plug in. So do I know what a is? No. X, this we're actually never going to fill in. Okay, we will use x as we go through the problem. But just like if you write a line, you write y equals 3x plus 2, there's still an x in the problem. So we're going to have one. What do I put after the x though? -6. Yeah, because my vertex is a +6. So in the parabola, in the equation that I'm given, I have to put a -6. So that's squared, and then I'm going to put -75. So we've now plugged in to figure out part of the problem. We have to figure out what a is. So now we have to plug in a point. Okay? So you got x, you got y. So 15 goes over here. I got a, x is going to be 0. And now we just kind of work through it. We solve that. So, what is -6 squared? Some of you are going to write this as a times 36. Please don't do that. And the reason being is because you write it like this and then you write -75. You actually look at these and you just group them together, and that's not right. So instead, just take that 36 and throw it in front of the a, because they mean the same thing. So I have 36a minus 75. Now I want you to go ahead and solve that for me. Okay, you give me what is a. I'll put some numbers up there in just a moment.
I got a question about the, I forgot what it's called, quick solve.
Okay.
I turned it in, and I know I put my name on it, but it was marked missing.
The chapter 2 one?
Yeah.
I'll take a look.
Yeah.
What?
That's a deal.
Turned it in together. I'll take a look. I actually think I saw yours.
Really? Where you marked it missing? Come on, man.
I'll look. It should be there. What do you get for A? 2.5 is perfect. Now, if, for example, you would get something like A equals 1/3, and you write down 0.33, that's wrong. If you have a decimal that's repeating, you can't just write it down, because then the quadratic is not actually the correct quadratic. It's close, but it's not correct. So if you're stuck, use a fraction. Okay, you could leave it as 1/3. This could be left as 5/2. Your calculator is actually simplify them for you. If you don't know how to do that, ask me during work time and I'll show you. So we got A. We go all the way back up here. And I actually just like to go like this. Erase and put 2.5. That right there is the quadratic that is represented, or that goes through those 2 points. Okay? What questions do we have? Like I said, it's plug in, plug in, plug in, plug in. You just keep plugging stuff in until you get the answer. You need more time with this. And we're going to take a look at letter B. What form should I use? Which formula do I start with? Factored form. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, you tell me, what do I plug in? So I'm going to have f of x is equal to a parenthesis going to backtrack. So this would be my x-intercept, but what would be the factor? X minus 8 is good. What about this one? Yeah. And folks, realize why this is working out this way. If I would give you this, and I would say solve for your x-intercepts, you're very good at this. You would look at this and go, okay, you probably won't even do this. You would just put down the solution. You'd go plus 8 and boom, so it's 8 comma 0. So you got to realize if I'm doing the opposite here, if I'm going backwards, I have to undo that, and so I have to be at the opposite. Okay? So it just goes back and forth like that. That was very good. And now, so we plugged in the first couple things we knew. Now we plug in. What do you think we plug in? What is that point? Yeah, 3, negative 50. So I'm going to have negative 50 is equal to a, and then parentheses, 3 minus 8, and then 3 plus 2. So we just kind of work through it now. So remember, I add these together, and then I multiply them together. So I get a times negative 5 times positive 5. So this multiplies to negative 25. Again, I'm always going to write the number before the variable. Okay? It doesn't really matter in this case. It's just good practice. And then we divide. So you get a equals 2. What do you do with that? Yeah, we plug it back into the original. So I'm going to have, and again, you could erase it up there. I'm just going to write it this time to show a different way, different approach. So that is the quadratic equation that goes through those 3 points. What questions do you have? All right, you're going to flip the page and you actually do the next one. Work together. Work with someone next to you. I'm going to leave this one up here. You're just doing letter C.
Why would they give us a number?
That's more realistic than I would say more.
Yeah, no.
That's right. You just reduce the fraction.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a unique one. Hold on.
I got called out of school. I need a mental break, man.
All right. Someone's going to be watching this next year.
Yeah, what happened to Smokey's brain break? He used to go get walked in. He is quite the guy. 8th grade math teacher.
8th grade math.
Oh, silent moment.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's right. It is a fraction. You get a fraction.
Kurt, how did the 7 go with you?
Simple throwaway. Catch it, you know. You can say the other shapes.
All right, folks, what do you get for this? -1/7. Did anyone go with the decimal?
That was like 1.4.
Yeah, all right. Well, just be careful because the decimal would actually give you the wrong answer. So this is -1/7. I'm going to just go back up to the top here, erase A, and put negative 1/7 and put my box around it.
Oh, that's the answer, not one thing.
Correct. This is part of the answer. This is getting you there, but it's not the answer. Okay? What questions do we got? Any? All right, then letter D. So letter D is unique. Do we have a vertex? No, we don't. Do we have a x-intercept? We do not. So there's a couple things that we could do. We could do a system of equations with 3 quadratics. You don't want to do that. So instead, let's try to think about this. So if I draw a little picture here, if I have 3, 3, I have a dot right there, approximately. If I'm at 4, 1, I'd be going over 1, but I'd be down somewhere over here. And then I would be at 5, 3, so I'd go 1 over, and then I'm back to the same height. What do you know about parabolas? They do make that noise when you graph them. Whoosh.
And that's the shape of the
How do you know the 4, 1 is your vertex?
Because it's the axis of symmetry between each other points, and both of these the same height.
Perfect. So if they have the same height, then you can find your axis of symmetry between any 2 points that have the same height by looking at their x-coordinates and going halfway. So halfway between 3 and 5 is 4, and they give us the y-coordinates. So they gave us actually our vertex. So let's just finish this problem off. So it's going to be in vertex form. Don't know what A is yet. I'm going to have x, what? What sign do I use? Yeah, I saw a few people saying it. So minus 4, and then I'm going to have plus 1. So we got that. Now, we have 2 points. It's just extra. Okay, we don't need 2 points extra. We just need 1. So let's just all choose 3, 3. Let's plug 3, 3 in. So I'm going to have 3 equals A, and then I'm going to have 3 minus 4 square plus 1. I'll give you about a minute to go ahead and answer that one. So figure out what A is and then put it back into the equation. It's pretty accurate. Okay. Where'd you mess something up? What's 3 minus 4? And when you square negative 1, it gives you positive 1. Okay? So, what questions do you got? That's good. Okay. Then, so the rest of class, you can get going on your homework. And